Okay, so we have a massive one for you today, so please stay with us. This is mad. Okay, let's look at the US car sales. US car sales, as you can see, was between 17 and 18 million per year before the pandemic. Pretty steady. Then the pandemic happened, went down, went back up, obviously a rehit, and now it hovers at between 15 and 16 million. That's 2 million down as a steady state. Not just that, please note that obviously the population has increased during that time, but still it's gone down by 2 million units. Now, how could this be? So let's go into digging into the details. Look at Ford F-150 Raptor from 2019. These are the actual 2019 prices. It's not the second-hand prices. Now it's the 2019 price, sticker price of a Ford F-150, which is Ford's biggest selling car. Okay, in the US. So it is 54,000. What is it now in 2024? It is 80,000. That is a 60% increase in price. 60% increase in price. Okay? Sorry, about 50%. Sorry, 50% increase in price. That is insane. Let's look at an EV. Tesla Model 3, the number one best-selling EV in the world. It was 36,000 in 2019, and it is now 40,000, up 10%. I find that hard to believe because I know they've dropped prices a lot, but I have to do apples with apples, and that's what it says on the site, so we'll go by this. So it's gone up 10%, but the Ford F-150 is up 50%. Now, why would that be? So the answer is legacy car makers are basically subsidizing every single one of their EV cars that they produce. They are being subsidized by the company. They lose money on every single one. Rivian loses $400,000 per car, right? So Ford also loses massive amounts of money. But how are they going to get that money? Well, they make it up on the ICE vehicles. So they bump up the prices of the ICE vehicles and they make the money on that, and that subsidizes the EVs. Now you'll ask, why would Ford even bother with EVs if it loses money? And the answer is the US mandates. They are not allowed to sell those ICE cars without selling a substantial amount of EV cars. So they have to subsidize those EVs if they want to sell the ICE. So it's basically communism, state communism. It's forcing the market to comply with certain things that they want. That's what's happening. So everyone is overpaying for ICE vehicles. If we never had EV mandates, if no one cared about EVs, and Ford clearly knows the game's up, they'll never catch up with the Chinese or Tesla. There's a zero chance of that. Why would you keep doing it? Keep doing a stupid thing like that? But they have to. The government is forcing them to that. They have to maintain a certain amount of EV sales to sell the ICE cars. In the UK, they're about to get fined actually because they're not selling enough EV cars. So this is where we are. Okay, so what's that caused? What has this caused? So obviously this has caused the price of cars to go through the roof, and people can't afford $80,000 cars now. Hence the lower sales from 18 million to 16 million. That is why we've seen lower sales. But what does that cause? Let's look at this next slide. This is from Fred. Again, Fred is the St. Louis Federal Reserve, so it's as legit as you can get for data. This is a second-hand car prices. As you can see, at a 140 on the index, it is now still 4 years after the shock. It is still at 180. It's dropping, but not dropping as quickly. And that's because second-hand prices are still very high, because they have to be. Why? Because new car prices are very high. And why are new car prices very high? Because of EVs, EV mandates, not even EV prices, EV mandates. In order to subsidize those EVs, we have to have high ICE prices. So basically, everyone is getting, hustled from this net zero madness. Doesn't matter what you do, you're paying for it. You buy an ICE car, brand new, you're paying for it. You want to go second-hand car, you're paying for it. You even want to buy your EV car, you're paying for it. Why? Because your EV, as I've already explained in previous videos, are worthless in the second-hand car market. They're garbage. I actually have, there's a guy in Seattle I saw, he owns 14 Teslas. Why? People come to him to change the battery because it's basically dead. And he tells them the price, and they go, well, there's no point. They just leave it with him. They leave the Tesla there. So he actually owns 14 dead Teslas. Yeah, that's what happens. They're worthless pieces of junk. And the real purpose of this is essentially to reduce people actually having freedom, actually having their own car in any form. They don't actually care what form it is, EV or ICE. They just don't want you to drive. And so this graph here of the 18 million, 16 million, it will keep going down and down and down, even though population keeps on going up and up and up. Thank you. And no one's rebelling and no one's doing anything about it.